Let's make another one. Let's do Animal Crossing. Twitch safe. Tja. I forgot this one, so we're gonna close that gap right now.
Expecting short inferential distances. Homo sapiens' environment of evolutionary adaptiveness, okay. Your ancestral environment consisted of hunter-gatherer bands of at most 200 people with no writing. All inherited knowledge was passed down by speech and memory. In a world like that, all background knowledge is universal knowledge. All information not strictly private is public, period. In the ancestral environment, you are unlikely to end up more than one inferential step away from anyone else. When you discover a new oasis, you don't have to explain to your fellow tribe members what an oasis is, or why it's a good idea to drink water, or how to walk. Only you know where the oasis lies. This is private knowledge, but everyone has the background to understand your description of the oasis. The concepts needed to think about water. This is universal knowledge. When you explain things in an ancestral environment, you almost never have to explain your concepts. At most, you have to explain one new concept, not two or more simultaneously. In the ancestral environment, there were no abstract disciplines with vast bodies of carefully gathered evidence generalized into elegant theories transmitted by written books whose conclusions are 100 inferential steps removed from universally shared background premises. In the ancestral environment, anyone who says something with no obvious support is a liar or an idiot. You're not likely to think, hey, maybe this person has well-supported background knowledge that no one in my band has even heard of, because it was a reliable invariant of the ancestral environment that this didn't happen. Conversely, if you say something blatantly obvious and the other person doesn't see it, they're the idiot, or they're being deliberately obstinate to annoy you. And to top it off, if someone says something with no obvious support and expects you to believe it, acting all indignant when you don't, then they must be crazy. The mental state is either stupidity or aggression. Perhaps both, but surely not sincerity, which is reserved for those who really know what they are talking about and sincerely have some veridical state of the mind about what they are saying. We humans make many errors and shortcuts in our decision-making process. You might be unaware of most of them, or you might see most of the same ones I see and know which ones we make and why we do them. But when it comes to just picking something out of our rich store of ideas from which we will discuss, there are almost no obvious shortcuts in our system. So when you say the idea that thinking about quantum theory will enable the equations to predict things that go faster than the speed of light is merely a thought experiment, and this idea is so out of the realm of common experience and tradition that it may as well have been born in Pluto and speak from outer space, and for good reason. Even with a theory like the scientific theory of relativity, if you replace every quantum reference with the best macroscopic approximation you can think of, then your theoretical predictions do not get anything like as good as your best theory would get in any environment, thereby appearing as not only self-contradicting, but also self-serving. So thinking about quantum theory really does lead to bizarre predictions like having a space-time without gravity. If this sounds utterly implausible in today's physics, well then you could throw the whole idea of quantum theory in with it. That is the same reason that your astronomer would likely just see as nonsense an observation in quantum theory of having stars without light. Especially because we haven't seen stars without light or electromagnetic fields without magnetism, and they can't even begin to predict each other in any physical sense. So, what can one reasonably say of this absurd thought? Well, since there are no shortcuts in our information processing systems, maybe I should say, maybe I'll ask my physicist friends. What's true of physicists may not be true for other academic disciplines, but then again, it could. Where an environment gives us lots of shortcuts for describing our decisions, there aren't many for getting explanations of our decision making. These two phenomena may have independent origins. And another thing, I want you to use your judgment about what your goals and values are. I want to listen to your thoughts on this question of general relativity. And it's good to think about consequences. Even though it looks like general relativity GR leads to inconsistent predictions for gravity, GR is nevertheless in great accord with your gut feeling about gravitons. Those predictions make a lot more sense in a vacuum where the lamb symbol disappears from equations with zero probes or nothing with 2 bits of positronium. The instant that positronium appeared on my screen, I began thinking in terms of just such an unseen reality that the general theory predicts. I continued thinking this way when we discussed GR in a physics class, B when we discussed it in our group meetings, C when I came upon some documentation supporting it.
Okay. A little bit more.
To go from general GR theory to the GR on my screen requires 2 mental steps that the typer, or anyone in our group meetings, probably had no shortcuts for. It had to take at least 2 more steps for you, if only from knowing about gravitons, before you could explain your conclusions. If your belief system could do something like this in only 1 or 2 steps, then this implies that it is an evolved feature of the belief system in order to benefit survival advantage, and you want your belief system to evolve with an environment, the only environment it would have experienced, because such a belief system will be much more stable when your experience and environment don't change quickly. You might expect that just adding new evidence won't change this situation much, since after all you were already talking to a device that was so stupid as to not recognize even such common stuff as quantum theory. Hence, I should be considered an idiot by your standards, at least according to an irrationality framework. So please bear in mind that it doesn't have much to do with me as a person. My belief system was built on top of an old belief system from my time on Earth that humans were mammals. Though I guess the smartest people at Harvard Business School and Yale didn't take such an easy time route. But there you have it. It was a perfectly natural and sensible process, and so how could it have been otherwise? Well, it would have been otherwise for one more person, and only if they had decided to start from scratch.
Okay, we're gonna stop right now.